Okay. So let me just repeat what we are doing for this session. So what we are doing is we are completing the Veka series, wherein in today's lecture, what we will look at is we will look at how to save the model and how to load it and predict a predictions on a new instance external to Veka in a separate Java code. So we are looking at how to deploy these models and how to ship these models into production environment, maybe some Java-based applications or Java-based web applications, which should be in a position to use the trained model. Okay. So now what I have done is I have loaded the Iris data set, which is the standard part of Vector data distribution. So whatever you see on your screen, based on that, if I ask you some questions, how many features are there here? Yeah. So actually there are five features and one label. So okay, it could be, you can call it as four features and one label as well. So I'm fine. Like those who have said four, I won't say them wrong, and those who have said five, I won't say that you are wrong. So it is up to, it is something developers interchangeably use. But as long as you are clear that out of these five features, one should be the label. So accordingly, you can decide that. Now let me discuss this data set. So without understanding the data set, doesn't make any sense to know what we are trying to do. See, Iris data set, I'll tell you what I am looking at. Okay, so if I look at some okay, just a minute. Okay, so let me tell you what this data set is using. Then you will be more clear to understand what exactly this data set is doing. So remember, iris is a flower, right? So this data set is related to measurements of a flower. So when we talk about flower, so this is the flower about which this data set is talking. So this data set is specifically talking about various, I would say species, or I would say types of that, right? For example, if I consider rose, we have red rose, white rose. So color is something which distinguishes a type of rose flower. Likewise, when I talk about this iris plant flower, so this is iris plant. Now, under this iris plant, what they do is every leaf, I hope you know what I mean by petals of a flower. Likewise, petals, we have another concept called as sepals as well. So what does it exactly mean? So this is what I want to say. So when I say petal, so this is petal. And when I say sepal, these are called as sepals of a flower. So every flower has it. For example, if this is a tulip, you can see that these are called as petals and these are called as sepals, right? I hope you're getting that. Now, what this data set is doing, we have multiple types of iris flower. Iris has two types of flowers. One is called as setosa, and another is virginica, and other, I guess. Let me see if iris flower types. So okay, so these are three types of iris flowers, right? If you see that, iris, okay, iris versicolor, iris setosa, and iris virginica. So these are three types of flowers in this iris trees flower. Now, if you carefully observe, these have a different petal width and petal height, right? So Cytosa has a different sepal, so petals are smaller. So Iris virginica has a different types of petals and sepals. So now, what we are doing here is, in the data set, let me switch back to our Veka screen. Uh, okay. Okay. So now if you look here, what you are getting is, See, here we have sepal length, sepal width. I hope you're getting that. Now, when I say sepal length and width, what they are of numeric type. So maybe it is in some centimeters, or consider they are in a centimeters. At the same time, we have given a petal length and petal width. Now, if you look at the class, what do you see here? You see three classes: Iris setosa, Iris versicolor, and Iris virginica. So I have a 50 samples of Iris setosa, 50 samples of versicolor, and 50 sample of virginica. So what this data set is doing? So it is recording the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Based on that, it is trying to classify the measurements into the type of that flower. Okay. So now tell me, what should I do with this? Is it a classification task, or is it a clustering task, or is it a regression task? What do you think? So, see, remember what I want. I want to write a Java program to which I will be providing sepal length, width, petal length, and petal width. And my Java program has to predict if the given measurements, based on this given measurement, what is most likely the measurement should belong to. Does it belong to setosa kind of iris flower, or versicolor, or virginica? This is what my Java program has to do. So now tell me what my Java program has to technically do. Does my Java program need to do regression, classification, or clustering? I have a data set. This data set already has few measurements. So now tell me, what should I do? Should I do regression, classification, or clustering? Clustering is unsupervised. Classification and regression are supervised, which require training data set. So out of these three choices, if I ask you to write that program, and if you are required to choose this ML task, like are you going to do regression, classification, or a clustering, what would be your answer? Yeah. So the answer is classification. What you will be doing? You will be doing a classification task. The reason, because the label here is non-numeric. It is nominal. Nominal in this means it is categorical values. And the second one, it is supervised, because I have training data and I already know the classes. Whenever you have your classes predetermined, it is primarily a classification problem. Okay. So now that we have, do I need to do any filtering or anything? No, I need not do any filtering or anything. So I will directly go for classification tab, and here I will be now able to classify. Here I will be able to classify. Now let me do one thing. So here we are looking at all these four, but what I want some comparison. Or let me do one thing. First, let me run that. So see, how are these attributes? All attributes are numeric. All attributes are numeric. Now, when I go to classification, uh, I need to select the class label. The class label is the class. I want to use cross-fold validation. Fine, let us stick to the cross-fold validation of 10. And now I want to choose a classifier. Now tell me, yesterday we were discussing types of algorithms, right? And vaguely I have also discussed like how and when an algorithm has to be used. It depends upon data set. Now tell me, uh, can you tell me, so the entire set of students, what are the set of students? Based on whatever understanding till now you have developed, suggest three machine learning algorithms which you want me to use and classify this data set. Can you tell three machine learning algorithms which we will apply, and we will see if there is any difference in accuracy? Three models, and whatever is the best, we will save that model, and that model we will use it for our Java program. Can you tell, suggest three algorithms? what you want me to use that. 3 algorithms. Which you feel we should use, or which you, I think you can even randomly guess that algorithm as well based on our earlier uh, choice of algorithms as well. Can you suggest? So anyone can type one, and if I see 3 combination of classification algorithm, we'll apply all those threes. Okay, so Aisha says decision tree. Okay, so we will use one decision tree algorithm. Any other? Any other classification which comes to your mind? See, yesterday, if you look at the types of algorithm, broadly we have seen 3 types. One, regression based algorithm, second, Bayesian based algorithm, and third, tree based algorithms. So under tree based algorithm, we look at decision tree based. For probability based, we go for Bayesian learning. Under that, we can go for naive Bayes classification and KNN. So as Mohrish is saying, KNN comes under what kind of algorithm types? It comes under instance based, which are nothing but we also call them as lazy learners, right? So let us do one thing. So let us try probability based, one tree based algorithm, another a lazy learner, and uh, lazy learner, and let us do one thing. And fourth one, we will do something regression based classifier, right? So we will try these 4 combinations. Okay, so let us do one thing. What the first thing I want to try? Let me try probability based classifier. So out of this, the probability based is naive Bayes. So I think multinomial text. Let me, I think better I'll use this multinomial is used for multinomial. Multinomial means multi-class. So this is simple Bayesian classifier. Okay, so I'll prefer multinomial. Multinomial in the sense multi-classes. So we have binary classifier and multi-class classifier. So binary means it will only predict between 2 classes, yes or no. So binomial, you can call it binomial also. But here I am choosing multinomial because here my how many classes I have? I have 3 classes: Setosa, versicolor, and Virginica. So I am using naive Bayes multinomial. Cross-fold validation 10, and I'll start this training. So after training is done, you can see the accuracy with which what. So what is the accuracy I'm getting? 95.33. So now tell me, should I rely on this? What is something you will look in this, which is most relevant for you to understand how well this is done? We have already discussed. Just I want that answer from you. What inside this is most important for you in order to decide? Yes, you're right. What we do is we check the ROC curve. So under ROC curve, we expect these values to be more than 0.5. Yes, they all have to be more than 0.5. They are 0.5, and they have to be nearer to 1. Yes. So according to a standard ML definition, this is very accurate training model. So this data set here, this naive Bayes multinomial has performed very well with 95 accuracy. But for us, the more important are this. These are very well. Almost all classifiers have been perfectly classified. Okay. Now we will, so what kind of algorithm we have applied? First we have applied probability based classifier. Under that we have used naive Bayes classifier. So the principle of working of this algorithm is that it internally works on Bayesian learning. I mean the probability distribution like prior and posterior probability distributions. So the second one, what we will do is we will now go for tree based learners. I mean tree based learners means what? Based on these attributes, what it does, it generates a tree, and based on that tree the predictions occur. So under tree, if you look at here, the best and most efficient, or if you say the most efficient or most well implemented, is reduced error prone tree. But what I want to implement a plain simple regression, plain simple decision tree. So the simplest of simple decision tree algorithm with no fancy optimization or boosting or all that. So the simplest is decision stump. This is a simple uh, tree based algorithm. So a basic tree based algorithm, right? So I'm applying the basic tree based algorithm, which is nothing but decision stump. Then if I run it now, okay, how much accuracy I'm getting? Accuracy has dropped. Look at this ROC values. Do you see these values here? Are they better in compared to that? So as compared to the performance which I got for naive Bayes, these are not acceptable, I would say. These are not acceptable to us. So what I have applied tree based algorithm, right? So simple tree based algorithm. Now see, it is very important to know that whenever you apply tree based algorithm, you can always visualize the I think we can visualize the tree. Mm, okay. So let me do one thing. Let me see if I apply the optimized tree algorithm. So the optimized tree algorithm reduce error prone tree. So REP tree. Now I'll start. I'll see what if accuracy improves or decreases. Okay. So now if you apply REP tree, the accuracy is 94%, but still these values are less as compared to the performance which I got for naive Bayes, right? So now for this, okay, so when you apply this REP tree, you can click on visualize tree. It displays you. Can you see this tree, visualize tree? I think let me see if I can show you this, the tree generated. So when I said visualize tree, it opened a new window where it has generated this tree. Okay. So when I say tree based algorithm, your machine learning model constructs this tree. So first attribute on which what it is it is looking at petal length. So the prediction happens in this way. Whenever you provide new data instance, what it happens, it goes to petal length. It sees if it is it less than 2.5, it will directly predict the class is Iris setosa, right? If it is greater than or equal to 2.5, it then looks at petal width. When it looks at petal width, then it further checks this to whether it is 1.5. If it is greater, it predicts as Iris virginica, and if it is less, it predicts Iris versicolor. I hope you're understanding how tree is generated. So why is this REP tree algorithm more famous? Because if you look at the features, we have 4 features. Just imagine the combination of tree it can generate. So what this REP reduced error prone tree algorithm does, it constructs the tree and it keeps on optimizing it. So instead of showing you a big bunch of random tree which can generate, it tries to optimize tree at every level, and it only gives you a very most best tree possible for your learning. So this is how a tree based algorithms work. Okay. Now going back to Weka window. Okay. So the accuracy which we received here, just okay. So the accuracy which we received for error tree based optimal tree based algorithm is 94. But for a basic tree based algorithm, what I received, the accuracy is not good, 66. And even ROC curves, okay, they're barely acceptable. That they are they're not acceptable when I compare with the performance I get with other algorithms, right? So we have applied probability based and 2 tree based algorithm. What else we were trying to look for? Uh, what else we were looking for? Yeah. So someone said KNN. KNN is an instance based algorithm which are called as lazy algorithms. So under lazy algorithms, so you, I think this IBK, remember, don't go in, this IBK is based on K nearest neighbor classifier. So I'll apply this KNN. Now you can see that the k value is 1. The k value is 1. So if you click on this, you get a k value. So right now the k value is 1 for this algorithm. So let me start. Okay. So now you can see what's the accuracy for this KNN, 95. See, what is accuracy here? Accuracy is 95.33%. But look at the ROC values 1, 0.9, 0.9 and 0.96. Now let me compare this performance with naive Bayes. How much accuracy I'm getting? 95.33. Here what I'm getting? I'm getting 95.33, almost same accuracy. But look at this ROC curve values. For lazy learner, ROC curve values are these. I hope you are able to see this 96, 94, 95. But for naive Bayes, accuracy is same, but look at ROC curves. Okay, so which one would you prefer? This is what I wanted to tell you. You should never go on this. If you go on this, for you, the performance of both these models are fine. But what is better to me is these values. Higher these values, more better for us to adopt the ML model. So we have applied KNN, we got this one, right? So one last type of algorithm, what I was talking about, is a regression based function. So the regression based function is this. Okay, what does it works on? It works, okay, let me see, there is one logic boost and none, okay, let me see. Cost, okay, so this is one algorithm, classification via regression methods. What it does is, it does the classification considering that internally it does regression. Recall yesterday's lecture, I told you I drew 2 points, cross points and circle points, and if I want to classify, it was nothing but it was almost similar to guessing a line which separates the set of points. So we will now, so such kind of classification which fundamentally works on using regression as its base method, those are called as classification based on regression, and they are called as regression based learners. So this is, those are one kind of algorithm. So I'll apply classification via regression and then I'll start on that. Okay, how much accuracy I'm getting here? 94. Look at these values, 97, 98, 98. Okay, so is it better than naive Bayes? I might not say it is better than that. 196, 99, 98. I think this regression based classifier has performed better in terms of ROC values. Right? Do you agree with that? Naive Bayes 196, 99, 98, and this is performing as 1. Okay, so instead of that, okay, I think this gives a better performance for each classifier. Each classifier is highly classified better. Okay, so for this data set of Iris setosa, wherein all your features were numerical, remember your features here were numerical, all types of features were numerical values, right? So when all types of features were numerical, what kind of algorithm is best performed for you? Can you guess? Can you put that answer in chat window? I want to just see how you have, are you been able to identify the better algorithm? So we tried naive Bayes, we tried basic decision tree, we tried tree based learner, REP optimized, we tried a lazy learner, which is IBK, which is nothing but it's a KNN, and in the end we also tried a regression based classifier. So which one would you prefer? Decision stump we will ignore because the performance is very poor, and REP tree, that is fine, but okay, so if I want to select two best algorithms which has performed well for this, they are probability based and regression based classifier. And for these two, out of these two, which has performed better? What do you think? Let us see what you think. Regression? or naive Bayes? For regression type R, for naive Bayes type NB, what would you select? Can I get you the responses? What would you select out of this algorithms? Can I get your response? I need to complete this. Just let me know what your answer is. Okay, so you want to select regression based. Okay. So, okay, fine. Yeah. So what I will do is when I compare this ROC values, uh, this naive Bayes and classification trees. So I'll always go on this ROC values. So this it is 94, 94, 96. KNN is 195, 94, 96. See, higher these values and more equally they are distributed, better for us to use it. Okay. So naive Bayes near to 1, higher 96, 99 and 98. I also want an equal distribution because I don't want this model to be only perfect for one specific class. I want it to be better for each and every class. So 196, 99. No, this is not acceptable. We will ignore that. This is 94, 94. Fine. This is 95, 94. And if I now look at that, it is 97 and 98. So for class 1, it is 197. So if you look at, I'll only compare naive Bayes and clear because these values are near 1. So 96.6 and okay. So this looks to me as little bit balanced. These are well balanced. So I would prefer this regression based classification. R. So the answer base I. So now, okay, so you have tried this. Remember a short. Whenever your features are numerical, and most of them are numerical, then it's better. Usually, the tree probability and regression based algorithms they do perform better rather than KNN. Okay, so we have not applied neural network to this. If you want, you can apply. So if you want to apply a neural network based classifier, what you need to do? Go to functions and here you have multi-layer perceptron. Just click select and it will do something based on neural network based classification. Okay, so the conclusion is I will use the last algorithm classification via regression. This trained model I'll use it to predict. So what I'll do, I'll right click on that, then I'll say save model and I'll save this with this following name, iris trained model dot model. Right, where did I save? I saved this in the data directory of Veka. Are you following that? So I right click and save the model. Now when I save the model, I will close all my Veka things, right? So let me close this Veka. I have trained the model, I will close it now. So I'm closing this. So right now, now what I'll do is now I will open a program which I just wrote yesterday night. So this is a program where with the help of this program you can load that model and then predict. Okay, do you see the screen? Okay, so let me explain what this program does line by line. I'll explain. So writing this will not take much time, but I'll just explain. So now these are the libraries which I'm importing, and it additionally requires you to import some Veka libraries as well. So where do you get these Veka libraries? So these are Veka libraries. Let me show you where you find this jar file of this Veka. Okay, so where do you find this? I'll just show the location where you will find that. So in the Explorer, here, whenever you go to softwares, when you go to Weka here you will find this Weka jar file. Do you see this? I hope you can see the where it is. So inside Weka directory, you will have that jar file. This Weka jar file. This I have added to that Eclipse project as a external library. Okay, so let me explain the program. So these are the libraries required to import this. Now see, whenever you want to import, whenever you want to predict something, you need to just get the data for the attributes. Get the new data for the attributes from the user, pass this attributes data to this your ML model. ML model will predict it. After predicting that, you will get a class. Just this class output you have to show it to the user. So what we are doing is, first I need to provide data to that. In order to provide data, I would prefer to create a set of attributes. Attribute is a standard way of representing attribute in Weka. So this is the class in Weka. So you need to just create that with the same name as with that which were in the data set. So which are nothing but sepal length, width, petal length, and petal width. Then it has three classes. So these classes I am representing in the form of array list. So that see, Weka outputs you the index of class. It doesn't output you this class names. So that's why what I'm doing, I'm creating an array list so that whenever Weka says class 2, I can map it with the class 2. Whenever Weka says class 1, I can map it with this class 1. Whenever it says class 3, I can map it with this. For that purpose, I have defined here three array list strings. Okay. Now, once you are done with that, you are adding the attribute list. So you have defined the attributes. Now create the attribute lists. So what does attribute list contain? So whenever you provide what does my data set contains, it contains attribute list as the sepal length, whatever you have defined that. Make a set of attribute length, add the class. Okay, so you have to add the class attribute. What are the classes for this? These are the classes. So these are initialization of your instance through which you will provide data to the model. Remember, model is a specialized structure. You cannot directly give 1 comma 2 comma 3 and you can ask it to predict. It was trained well, it required data in some format. Make sure you produce the data in the required format. So I'll be uploading this program to GitHub. Later you can go through that. So now, once you have done this, once you have created this attribute list, now you are creating your instance. So this is the unpredicted data instance which you will be passing to your trained model, and you want output class to be predicted. So you are creating instances, data unpredicted, new instances. I am calling test. You are providing this attribute list. This is your attribute list, and you have to pass the reference. How many data instance you are passing? You are passing one instance, and inside this instance, whatever you are passing, what are those? What are actual attributes? You are passing the attribute list, right? How many attribute list it is containing? It is containing 5 attributes, 4 and 5. Out of this 5 features, what this trained model requires? Trained model requires only this first 4. So that's why you are providing from this attribute list, how many you have to provide? You are providing only, you are doing -1, because you don't want to provide 5, you only want to provide 4. So you are subtracting 1 because last feature is the target variable or a label, target or a label. That's why you are ignoring the last one. You are providing one less than total number of attributes. Once you have total number of attributes, now let me do what I'm creating is, now I am creating a new instance type. What I'm creating? A new instance type which now represents the data. So what I'm creating? I am creating some set of values. So these are some. So sepal length is 5 and that. I want prediction for this instance. So this is what I'm capturing the input for this. Okay, if you look at this, So I'm from data prediction dot unpredicted instance. I am now creating an actual instance which contains the data. So I want a prediction. I want trained model to predict what would be the class if I have the flower attributes as this. So these I have deliberately selected so that they mimic Setosa's behavior. Likewise, I created another instance which mimic the Virginica class instances. So I want to test whether training model is working or not. So I have created two dummy instances, one which matches Setosa and one which matches Virginica. So when would our predictions be right? When I pass this instance and when my trained model predicts the classes Setosa, it means that I have a right prediction. When I pass this Virginica and my ML model predicts that the class is Virginica, then I have a correct prediction, right? So now what I'm going to do is, first thing, this I have commented, so we will try out both. Okay, so let me do one thing. I will first comment out first what kind of instance I'm passing. Setosa. My model has to predict whether it is Setosa or not, right? So new instance dot set dataset. I'm setting the dataset here. After that, whatever you have here, this is something important for us. So whatever the classifier which I have saved it in this directory, read software iris trained model dot model. So now my Java program is loading the trained model. How does it load? Weka.serializer.read. This is how you load the model. And what is this? This is the classifier. So you have to typecast that into classifier. And once you do this, now you can predict. So CLS, what is the CLS? It's a trained classifier loaded here. CLS.classify instance, provide the new instance which you have created. Now, based on the type of that, it predicts well what it is. See, remember, it only gives you double value, which indicates the class index. This double value you have to convert into the string representation. So earlier when I created the array list of classes, I'm just converting this double into integer, and I'm just converting that class index into the class name, right? After doing that, if you look here, sometimes what I said, see, whenever we classify, your ML model does not directly give you the class values. Instead, what it gives you, I told you what the classifier gives you. Classifier always gives you the set of probabilities. P1, how many classes I have? 3 classes. So it gives me a set of 3 probabilities where P1 indicates probability that the instance belongs to class 1, P2 indicates probability that P2 belongs to the instance belongs to class 2, and likewise. So if it says that the index is 2, internally it gives you probability that it belongs to that. So it is very important for me to know how my ML model is assigning the probability that it belongs to do this. Okay, so I'm also printing the probabilities. If you want the probabilities to be printed, you have to call cls dot distribution for instance. Provide the instance. It now gives you the double array. This double array. What I'm saying is this double array. So you have to just print these values. It gives you this one. Okay. So now let me run this. So what kind of instance I'm passing? I'm passing Setosa, so it has to predict Setosa. Okay. Do you see this? Do you see the screen? Okay. So yeah, I hope you can see the screen. In the corner, I am printing this. Okay. What the output you are getting? Index of predicted label is 0, means 0, 1, 2. So what is it 0? Iris Setosa. What kind of instance I have passed to it? Setosa kind, and it has predicted Setosa. Now this is the probability with which it thinks that it belongs to class Iris Setosa. Remember, as a machine learning engineer, whenever you are getting prediction, that is fine. But as a true machine learning engineer, you have to explore the probability. So with whatever probability the ML model is saying that this instance belongs to Setosa, that probability has to be high. So if you see that during testing, with very high probability it is telling you, then it indicates that my ML model was well trained. So whatever I'm looking at, that it has to give it with a high probability, this concept is directly represented in the, where it is represented directly in the ROC curve. So if ROC curve, area under ROC curve values are near to 1, it indicates that with a greater likelihood and with a better probability predictions, my ML model will be able to predict between multiple classes. Okay, so now let me try it with another type of instance where it has to output what. Now it has to output, instance Virginica class. So go to run and run. Okay, did it predict Virginica? Yes. And with what probability it is predicted? It is almost perfectly predicted with 1. Are you getting this? Okay. So I hope you understood how this works. Now I'll be putting this program on GitHub repository. Go through this and make sure you understand how do you want to work on that. Now tell me, what is the advantage of writing Java program? So now what you can do is you can build some Java servlet, or you can build some Google App Engine application, or you can build a JSP page or any web server page where you can build an HTML form and you can ask user to enter these 4 attributes, and these 4 attributes will be passed to this backend Weka code which runs on servlets, and whatever the value predicted you can integrate with any web application, desktop applications, or any application which you want to use ML. So this is how the deployment of ML model is done, right? Are you getting? So tell me one thing: what is the major critical operation when you do it a deployment? The problem with deployment is once you ship the model here, you will not get a chance to retrain it. If you want to retrain it, you have to go back to your phase 1, do your analysis, get the model, once again ship the ML model. That's the only critical step. That's why we say that the training has to be very well done. Okay. So, okay, so have you understood this lecture? Can you respond yes, no? Okay. So I hope at this point, did you get the idea that how machine learning model works, how do we train, what are the concepts, how do we improve data sets, how do we improve the accuracy? Then once we all done, we get a model file. The model file is useless for end customer. Let's say I'm your customer, I've asked you to predict winning chance of a cricket team in IPL. So if you do that, and if you just give me a model file and say, sir, take this, what customer will do with that model file? What will he do with this Weka and all that? He doesn't know the Weka. He just needs a front end interface. So we as a developer, we as a software engineer or a developer, we have to ship the model, and generally the shipping model works in this way. The exact similar way goes for Python. The exact similar way goes in case of C++. And remember, nowadays we have a compatible machine learning model formats as well. What they do is you can build train model in Python, and you can use that model file in C++ code. You can build machine learning models in some Java language, you can use it in Python. So remember, this model, the ML model which you saw right now, this model can even be used in Python program as well. There is a Python wrapper which can use Weka trained models. Okay. So I hope you found this lecture useful, and I hope you will get an idea how the production or industry based machine learning pipelines work. What all it takes, right from that data set exploring and to the end of that. Okay. So what I want is I want you to do all this for your assignments. Okay. Clear? Understood? Any questions, or do you find this helpful or not? Anything, you can reply in chat window. And one more thing, see, I think your head of department is has informed us that most of you have joining, right? Am I right? You have a joining in last week of May, I think somewhere. So I think we have to complete our syllabus. So I hope you are preparing and reading the books. Remember, once again, I'm warning you. I would say I am warning you. ML paper might become a burden at the end. So keep on studying it right at this stage. What I will do is from the syllabus, I'll identify where the each topic is found in the books. So I am doing half of your work. Go through the books which I have textbooks I have shared. Remember, the content is not long, very short. A topic is just a small paragraph wise. If those who have looked at textbook, they will understand that. It might not even take one day to read the entire syllabus. So go through that syllabus. And one more thing, I will be putting a small poll in Telegram group. I want the status of your assignments. I don't want assignments to become burden. So can you tell me the status of your assignments? So can you say whether you have completed 20%, 30%, 50%? What percent of assignments is complete? Can all students just respond? So whatever percentage you have completed your assignments. Okay, so I'll share a poll in that because this is important. Do respond there. I think that's it for this lecture. I'm done for this lecture, and in next lecture we will look at detailed working of probability based algorithms. Okay, so I think I'm fine from my side. Just mark your attendance.